State versus Kim Blandino, 22CR041030.
Good morning, Judge. Kim Blandino, appearing pro se for Kim Blandino. Standby counsel, well, purported standby counsel. I want to substitute attorneys on this matter. State's filed an opposition. I didn't have time to file a reply.
All right, Ms. Crum, I don't think I saw the opposition.
It's on Odyssey, Your Honor, but it is very brief.
I've got a copy if you'd like to take a look at it.
Oh, that's okay, thank you. I can actually, Your Honor, as the whole of my argument, just read it. It's just one paragraph,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
And our position in the defendant's motion to substitute counsel would be that to the extent that the defendant is seeking to represent himself in this case, the state of Nevada opposes such request based upon the law of the case. Defendant's right to self-representation has been revoked in this case and so affirmed by the Nevada Court of Appeals. Moreover, as it relates to appointing any other attorney to represent defendant in this case, there is no indication in the motion that a new appointment is necessary or that there even exists a basis for such requests. And with that, I'll submit, Your Honor.
Okay.
Oh, I'd like to reply.
All right. So let me make sure I understand this. Mr. Gersten.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you could get me up to speed as to your role in this case.
Very simply, Your Honor. It goes back a bit. Mr. Blandino has had several cases in the district court, the appellate court, and here. I've been appointed in all of those cases based on way back in the district court with Judge Levitt. There was a jury trial. Judge Levitt claimed that Mr. Blandino was. You want to do this or me?
Oh, okay, you got
Was
my-
disruptive in front of the jury. As a result, she revoked his status to represent himself. Thus, I got appointed. At a later time, I tried to get off of every case and was denied all along the way. It was Judge Sacento in this case where he denied that based on Judge Levitt's ruling, that he was, difficult. I'm sorry, disruptive. Sorry, he's going to yell at me for using the word difficult.
No.
As a result, I've been representing him. Recently, in this particular case, he's been trying to get his property back. The last hearing we had, Judge Bradford allowed him to appear pro se and do whatever it was that he was doing. I think he was getting a motion signed, an order signed to get his property back. That has not happened. From my understanding, Metro is ignoring the lawful order from this court to return his property. As a result, Mr. Blandino feels he's going to have to file writs, et cetera, et cetera. So what he's trying to do right now is represent himself and not have to rely on my representations. And like I said, the last hearing, Judge Bradford allowed it. I don't know what her ongoing thoughts are going to be.
All right. So hold on, Mr. Blandino. Let me get what is the status of all of his other cases that you represent him on, Mr.
So
Gersten?
the district court case is closed. The appellate court case is closed. My understanding is this is current. Would you stop? This is the only case that is open strictly for this return of property. There is a new case, an A case that has been filed in the district court where he has filed a writ of habeas corpus. That is currently pending, and I believe tomorrow he has a motion on to represent himself in that case. Did I get that right?
Well, actually, in point of fact, I am representing myself. Currently, I'm asking to have you appointed standby counsel only.
Sure.
There's a status check on that. That's a certified copy of the order that Bradford did. They didn't ignore it. They refused to honor it. I've got the girl's badge number, Rachel 5887. I'm going to file for motion for order to show cause, which should be criminal and or civil contempt. Can I speak?
All right. So here's kind of how I see this. I have the community service requirement taken care of, and any outstanding, and it looks like all outstanding requirements are completed on this case.
It is, Your Honor.
So-
The requirements are done. And at one point, Judge Sacento was offering to close the case. However, Mr. Blandino's property is still at the vault. He wanted it back. We made a motion in the district court. They granted it partially. He then came down here and made the motion here. Judge Bradford gave him an order to take to the vault to give the property back. Metro refuses to give back the property.
Okay,
So he's here, I believe, what he's going to seek is the ability to represent himself and then pursue this idea that Metro will not give him back his property.
okay, so so before I hear from Mr. Blandino, here is how I see everything. All the requirements are completed, and I am inclined to close out this case right now. There's no forfeiture requirement, so anything that Mr. Blandino might be entitled to receive back, Metro would then see that this case is closed, and they would return that property. However, if it's contraband or they don't believe he's allowed to have it, then that's an issue between Mr. Blandino and Metro's vault. But as far as the court is concerned, all the requirements have been satisfied. So go ahead, Mr. Blandino.
Judge, this goes to the inherent authority of the court. And the fact of the matter was, there were two original passports, identical. They're originals because my original signatures are on them. Judge Sacento said, Mr. Gersten orally asked for it, and he said, well, go ahead and file a motion for it. This is before he got voted out of office. And so he said, go ahead and file a motion, but make sure you let Metro know. So, in fact, while Mr. Gersten was in Europe, that's when this hearing was set for, Judge Bradford acknowledged that it was like what she called a hijack or fugitive motion. But she said in the interest of judicial economy, she would grant the order. But she wanted to have LVMPD to weigh in. She waited to issue this order, the 10 days for LVMPD to respond. They were personally served with the motion for the return of property, and they refused to answer in any way, shape, or form. When I went down to the vault with a certified copy, I presented it to Rachel, badge number 5887 of LVMPD. And she said that you're going to have to talk to Internal Affairs about it. I called all Internal Affairs. I called counsel for LVMPD. I talked to the investigative specialist, Stacy Cutesy, over at the downtown area command. They've got no basis to hold this. They're saying, we believe they're fake. Those are the very charges that the DA denied on the one passport, and then it got dismissed voluntarily at their motion later on in the case for the other one. They've got no basis to hold that unless they're holding information from me as to why they can do this. This court, like any other court, has the inherent authority to order Metro to turn those in. And if the vault doesn't want to turn them over to me, if they have some objections, then I can do the motion for order to show cause as why they should be not found in criminal contempt and civil contempt until they turn theirs over. And then, if they still refuse, ask that the vault bring those originals down here so that the court itself can turn those over to me. And then I can seek other civil remedies in the federal court under the Civil Rights Act. Because I told them, I said, you guys, you get these justice of the peace. Bench warrants are issued. You guys enforce those all the time. So you're going to pick and choose which orders from the court you want to obey and which ones you don't want to obey? Not only that, this Rachel was right there in front of me. The passports are just some feet away from her because I had called, they verified they were there. As Mr. Gersten said, I've gotten my other property on 2 other trips down there, computers and hard drives in the district court case. He tried to package this all up for Levitt to get the order from the district court on the passports. She said, no, you're going to have to go down to the justice court because it was under that case and that event number that the passports were indeed taken. So I'm not asking, I mean, the case already is closed. You can double close it, I guess. However, there's still remaining business to be done on this case, and that is the return of the passports. I should not be required to file a separate federal suit in order to get that property back. Those are passports, they're foreign passports. I need to get those to the Department of State and get those cleared. Moreover, because I did relinquish not renounce my citizenship, I relinquished my U.S. citizenship, I need to get clearance so that they don't, Tom Holman and the rest of the crew don't deport me from this country, which is possible. Or they could deport me to Montana, where I was born. But be that as it may, I'm following the process here, and I think you as a judge should be indignant to the fact that this order is just being ignored like it's toilet. I made a point to get a certified copy to present to them, so they couldn't in any way. And I said, you're not doubting that as forgery, because you can charge me and cuff me right now if you think this is a forgery, and then you can take me right down to
Your Honor,
CCDC.
if I may be heard briefly,
Go
I
ahead.
have maybe a proposed solution to this matter. I don't think it would be appropriate to close the matter at this moment because of this ongoing issue. I have had this issue in other cases. I wouldn't say remedy, but structure of it, what occurred was that the defendant in those two cases, so the two defendants, they filed motions to return the property. I understand Judge Bradford issued an order, but it wasn't accompanied by a motion. I believe a different way we could do it is for the defendant to file a motion to have his property returned. He needs to serve that motion not only on the district attorney's office, but also on Metro's counsel.
I've already done that. They got
I would ask
certified
to not be
motion.
interrupted at this point. If he wishes to file a motion, Metro's counsel will come down and state their representations. I cannot represent Metro and what they're doing. So I would ask that a briefing schedule be set for that he file a motion, we will file our opposition, or Metro can file their opposition, and that way Metro's counsel can be on notice and come down here. As far as I can see in the records, Metro has not appeared on this case, which I believe they are entitled to because they're the ones who are in custody of the passports. So I would ask to set it for a briefing schedule, and then the motion could be heard. As far as why we're here today, on the motion for substitution of counsel, it would remain the state's position that because the case has not been closed, as the defendant himself stated, there are outstanding matters in this case, and multiple judges, including a panel of judges in the Nevada Court of Appeals, has found that he is not suitable to represent himself. The state would maintain its request that he remain represented by counsel due to his inability to represent himself. And with that, I'll submit, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
May I rebut?
Go ahead, Mr. Blandino.
Specifically, Judge Bradford addressed that. In fact, she couldn't find the page initially. I personally served, so there would not be any doubt that I personally served LVMPD for the motion. So now, somehow, even though the state is saying they can't represent LVMPD, they're making representations as though they are, in fact, an advocate for LVMPD, and I object to that. They are impersonating counsel for LVMPD,
All right, so here's what
and
I'm gonna,
charges should be
all right,
go against that.
All right, so Mr. Blandino, here's what we're going to do. Although I was inclined to close the case today, based off of the state's representations, I will go ahead and set a briefing schedule for the motion, for a renewed motion to return property. I will order that motion be served on the Clark County District Attorney's Office as well as LVMPD. And then and then LVMPD will obviously have a chance to respond. I'm not going to order a reply in this case. I don't think it's necessary. And we'll go ahead and set a return date. So, Mr. Blandino, I'll give you 2 weeks to go ahead and file that motion.
So it is granted as a substitution of counsel then?
No, I'm getting there, Mr.
Oh,
Blandino.
okay, all right.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So I'll give 2 weeks to file the motion. Ms. Crum will give the state 2 weeks from that date to respond. As to the matter of why we're here today, Ms. Crum, Do you have the case that you keep citing to, the Nevada Court of Appeals case?
I don't, Your Honor, I apologize, this was not a motion I filed. I can get it. But even defense counsel noted that the trial court and the Court of Appeals found that he was not able to represent himself. And I would argue, based on what's occurred in this courtroom today, he's not apt to represent
Well,
himself.
I guess here's where I struggle with this, because Judge Bradford gave him at least one opportunity.
I believe Mr. Gerson was out of the country, is that correct?
Yes.
So he was not here to represent him because he was out of the country, and I believe she may have given him a limited opportunity to appear without counsel on one specific date, but not that he doesn't need counsel.
Okay.
And Judge Sacento has already ruled on the motion to substitute counsel and has denied it. So this courtroom
That was
itself.
before trial.
This courtroom itself has found that he should not be able to represent himself, and at which point I would find that this motion is entirely inappropriate because it's already been ruled on before.
All right, so
May I rebut, Judge?
no, Mr. Blandino. All right, Miss.
I object to that.
I'll hear from you, Mr. Gerson, because it sounds from what I'm hearing about what happened in district court and then this court with Judge Sacento and then Judge Bradford that there's a strong law of the case that you should remain as counsel. However, there's the countervailing balance here is that he satisfied all requirements. There's no suspended sentence. So ordinarily, somebody in that situation wouldn't be entitled to appointed counsel. So I'll hear from you as I'm sort
Your
of
Honor.
balancing
And
those two.
I'll as basic as I can say it, so yes, at some point during all three cases that I've represented him, the court has come back and said he is to be represented by counsel. They denied the Ferretta canvas, etc. The issue in all those cases was, as he mentioned, that was all pre-trial. So we're after that at this point, and he is not under any jeopardy at this point. So, I'll just say to you what I've said to all the courts. Whatever you want me to do, I will do. I know that he wants to represent himself. I don't think he's done half a bad job today. I think he's been, fairly good in his representations. But again, I serve the court's pleasure. And I will add one other thing, that when it came time, even though the case was over and the case was, he needed the order for his property, I did reach out to the Office of Appointed Counsel to make sure I could do that, and they did give me permission to handle the case through this issue, even though he could technically have his own counsel. So it really does come down to you, Your Honor. Whatever you'd like to do,
Okay.
I stand.
All right.
Judge, may I respond?
So no, Mr. Blandino. I've heard from the state. I've heard from you. I've heard from Mr. Gersten. At this point, I am very reluctant to disturb what has been done by my count, at least 3 other judicial officers. So I will deny the motion for substitution of counsel. We have a briefing schedule as far as a renewed motion for return of property, and hopefully we can get it resolved so we can have some certainty as to what's going to happen with these passports.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's gonna be May 19th at 8:30.
May 19th at 8:30?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that is for the hearing?
That's the
Is
hearing.
the motion due April 28th then?
April 28th and then May 12th.
Thank you.
And then just, Your Honor, for the record, could we order the transcript?
Yes.
for Mr. Blandino? Thank
Yes.
you so
And
much.
jazz. And jazz. Could I get the jazz too, Judge?
You're gonna have to put an order in the clerk's office for the jazz.
I will.
No, I'm just telling you.
Can I get them without expense, since I am having forced counsel? I believe I should have that at no cost as well. because I think this is an appealable issue. You've got no basis whatsoever
Stop.
to appoint
I'm
counsel on.
representing you now, so stop.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Gerson, I will order transcripts, and however we're going to get jazzed, you can submit the proper paperwork.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
All right.
Have a good
Have a
day.
good day. State versus